pros and cons of moving to Middle Tennessee, the Nashville area, and does migration into the state count as a con or a pro? Stick with me and we'll talk all about that. All right, we're going to talk about some pros and cons. We did one last year. Some of the things that are major about the pros and cons of moving to Middle Tennessee are not different this year. We still have weathers, traffic, we still have beautiful places to go visit, we still have some flooding, and we still have, some outskirts that are maybe better than the others by other people's opinions. We have things to discuss in pros and cons, and some of that, if we discuss it every year, doesn't really change unless it's gotten better from the previous year. But today we're going to talk about those again. I did do it last year, and there are some changes. Like, we've had migration patterns into Tennessee since COVID that have been phenomenal. We have prediction for that migration pattern. We definitely know that some people who watch this channel and watch other real estate channels do not like all the people coming in. Maybe they don't realize some of those people are moving home like I did 23 years ago when I moved back to Middle Tennessee from Southern California. And, I had a great time out there and I'm really glad to be home, but I count it as someone who was coming back to the area. So today we're going to talk about pros and cons of living in Middle Tennessee and the Nashville area, how that affects our real estate market, and we may even talk about some of the people that are coming in. So stick with me to the end of this video. When we're talking about specific numbers for all the people that have come into the Middle Tennessee area, we definitely don't have the whole year's turnout because we're in November, but we are actually able to track a little bit of this and just to kind of give you an idea of how desirable Tennessee is, and Middle Tennessee to be exact. Those numbers are really impressive, and you have an understanding that we've experienced significant population growth due to our strong influx of residents, our great industry, the offering of community in these areas in Middle Tennessee. Our school systems are well respected, and our no state income tax. So, all kinds of great reasons to move to the Middle Tennessee area, or to move back to the Middle Tennessee area, or just to come to Tennessee in general. Okay, it's highly sought after for all sorts of factors. It's beautiful. We have really pretty mild weather patterns, even in our harshest of winter and our harshest of summer. It's not just so unbearable. I've certainly lived in other places throughout this country and can compare it to, a whole rainy season in the winter can be kind of depressing too. And that does go on out in California. And then of course in the higher altitudes, you've got a lot of snow. It's fun. You can get there and ski and get back. But there's things about that. When you compare it to Florida, for heaven's sakes, they almost never have a season change unless they're up in that panhandle, that northern Florida, where they can actually get some, relief from that hot humidity. Love Florida, love California, love the whole country. It's just interesting the differences in those full seasons, and we get all four of them, and with those seasons come allergies and changes in flowers and trees and beauty. So all that to say, it's lovely. It's kind of mild throughout the whole year when it comes to the extremes, and that's appealing to people. Okay, we definitely have a thriving job market. It is definitely true. We have no state income tax, and we have a lot of corporations that are moving to the Nashville, the Tennessee, the Middle Tennessee area. So that definitely brings job opportunity, which is wonderful for growth. That's wonderful for people moving in. It's wonderful for people who already live here. That is a very good situation, obviously, for economic development. And do I really need to discuss that? Because people actually understand that. We have had most of our inbound migration into Middle Tennessee between 2020 and 2024 because of those things. So something to definitely, keep your eye on. We're getting people in from Georgia, Florida, Texas, California, and other major cities like Chicago and Atlanta and Dallas being, some of those other cities of key origins. Maybe it's weather, maybe it's their business, maybe it's our tax structures. I mean, some of them are similar. I don't think Texas has a state income tax either, but I'm not sure. I haven't lived there. There are things about our climate and our area that may be more appealing from those mega markets that are so much bigger than ours. But we are expected to be in that Nashville area over 2.4 million in the next few years. So, I mean, definitely there's a projection of incoming people and growth opportunities in the Middle Tennessee area. And what does that mean for you in your real estate? Well, I know I've seen lots of negative comments on here. Oh, they're bringing their stuff. Well, you know what? They are also bringing their wallets, their ability to buy, their ability to appreciate what you have. If you're a seller, we definitely have an opportunity to consider your real estate and its value, and you have more buyers that are possibly interested in buying it. So that's not so bad for you. I mean, goodness gracious, I've certainly done this. I'm now in my 22nd year. I've watched the interest rates go up and down. I've watched Nashville's climate go up and down. I've said this before, like an EKG and AFib. It has definitely had a nice stabilization since the COVID adventure that we all went through since 2020. But the truth is, the surrounding areas have benefited from this as well. You have places like Clarksville, Tennessee, that was three times named in the top places in the country in which to live, either for millennials or for return on investment, or those are really strong things to say about a market just 45 minutes away from Nashville, up in that northwest corner close to the state line of Kentucky. That's impressive, and that is the only town in Tennessee that was named that 3 times. So something to think about. Okay, you've got other places, like one of the fastest growing places in the state is Murfreesboro. You have accessibility to your VA facilities there. You also have those up in Clarksville, but that can be very impressive. That can be nice for retirees. That can be nice for people coming in, having served in other areas. That can just be nice overall for anyone in the area surrounding that could get to it. Something just to mention, aside from the fact that you have colleges in both of those particular markets, and they are separated by, an hour from each other up and down Interstate 24. You also have places like Franklin, Tennessee, one of the top places in Tennessee as regarded, and also in Williamson County, one of the top school systems in the country that's very attractive to people coming in. So when you're a parent, if that's applicable to you, Williamson County schools being ranked in the top 5% of schools throughout the nation can be very impressive, and frankly something that's very attractive to people coming in from all over. And that's according to greatschools.org, and we definitely encourage you to get on the sites and check out this information for yourselves. But I have been working in this market for 22 years, so I'm telling you now, what's been exciting to various families that I've worked with is something that maybe is appealing to you, and it certainly lends itself to why we have such a great influx of people coming into the area. You have great areas in the lake opportunities if you want to live lake life and not live in the Kentucky Barkley Lake, land between the lakes areas, and you want to have a bigger area of population around you and possibly live near the lakes in the Nashville area. You have an opportunity in Lebanon and Mount Juliet, which certainly puts you in Wilson County schools. Again, if that's applicable to you, they're considered in the top 10% in the state. Another reason that's very attractive to people. You can be up in Gallatin and Hendersonville, which again have great schools as well. You go to greatschools.org. But if that schooling thing is not as important to you because maybe your children are grown, or maybe you just are, don't have them, you have 65,000 people in Hendersonville alone, and that area is very appealing to people. Maybe they don't want to live completely off the grid in a Mayberry setting. They'd like to have dinner and shopping and places to go and still have that lake community. So there are options and reasons why people are still pouring into the area. And what does that mean to you if you're a seller in real estate? I've touched on this a few minutes ago. I've touched on this in other videos. That gives you more people interested in your property. That's great in any setting. So When you're talking about the surrounding areas, you're going to maybe move out into the other counties as well. From there, you have options that do give you smaller towns, and maybe you get more bang for your buck if you're a buyer. Maybe that $500,000 to $700,000 in the Nashville setting only puts you in a much smaller home in maybe an area that you didn't want to be in, maybe out in, say, Cheatham County or Dixon County, or, again, in Williamson County, depending on where you are, or, Sumner or Wilson counties. That puts you in a luxury listing. That's wonderful. Maybe it gives you a much bigger yard. So why are people moving to the area? Well, because you can get more in Tennessee. You can get more bang for your buck. Maybe you want to live in Chapmansboro and you want to live looking at that river, and that puts you in an absolutely beautiful home right there on the river, or with those views that you couldn't get closer into Nashville. So being that Nashville is set up like it is, you have all of these little towns and counties that are bordering it in the Nashville MSA, Metro Statistical Area, that are not but 30 minutes away. If you've lived somewhere else, I know when I lived in San Diego, it took 30 minutes to go from one beach to the nearest next one. So, goodness gracious, talk about people. Talk about having a lot of people in the areas. Let's talk about some pros and cons, just kind of throwing them out there of what this does. When we're talking about the real estate, and this is important. This is a real estate channel. I'm Felicia Long. I'm a realtor. I want your business. I definitely want to work with you, and I appreciate your consideration of my abilities. And I will tell you now that I have helped all kinds of people from all sorts of areas in all locations all over Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. So I'm licensed in 2 states. But let's talk about this. When you have this influx of people, it definitely does give you a stronger real estate market. Now, we have stabilized in that Nashville and area MSA and the bordering MSAs. They have stabilized some. That's good, because boy, when we were having those low interest rates, and let me just remind you that in the 6s, that's still historically low if you compare it to what your grandparents, your parents, and other people that you may know may have bought in their first interest rates. So if you don't believe me, click on the links below and talk to my lender, or talk to your own lender and ask them if 6% is still historically low, because it is. And I'm telling you that when we had those low 2-3% interest rates, the homes were absolutely outrageously expensive, and I think our market has stabilized a little bit, and that's really great. So that's great for a buyer, gives you plenty of opportunity to come in and actually look at something and maybe have a little more seller consideration and concessions possibly when you're in this buying situation. First time home buyer, you really appreciate that concession. And sellers have gotten a little more used to having more inventory on the market, because we have had less people buy over the last year and a half, actually in 2022, when the rates flew up to over 8%, a lot of homes did not sell at the last second. People did not want to take that kind of dramatic change in their payment. I understand that. They have been looking at 3 and 4% interest rates. All of a sudden it's doubled and tripled. I get it. But if they come back down to about 6, maybe in the high 5s, depending on what you have, and that's still historically low. That's very doable. You definitely could get in, and when the rates drop, or when you have an ability to do so, refi. Okay, definitely gives buyers a little more of a buyer's market where they have more inventory to choose from, and maybe some more relevance in this as compared to the years past. So that's very appealing. That's one of the reasons people are still coming here. That is absolutely a pro if you live in this area, because it definitely brings more buyers to look in your properties. If your property's positioned correctly onto the market, and you are offering the right things, and you are priced appropriately, because we've discussed all the things that you can do, that you want to do to enter this market correctly, you're going to sell it to the right person. It's just not going to fly off the shelves in the first day, possibly, but you definitely will have a still strong market if you enter into the market correctly. So when we're just talking about some pros and cons, let me just get back to that, okay? Our real estate market, when it comes to that, has a nice, steady upswing, and it has some stability. It's definitely not crashed after the COVID rush, which is almost like a gold rush over here as far as what we had. people coming to the market and getting here. We have a nice projection of economic growth, and that's because of several things. The tax structure is great when it comes to, no state income tax, and it's a very favorable situation for businesses to come into town. That is a positive, or into the area of the state. That is a positive because that gives job growth, that gives economic development. That is a plus. That's why people are coming, and that is a wonderful situation for you. Okay, what's a con? More people, more traffic. We still have to work with the infrastructure that's out there now. And I know there are plans. I know everybody's trying to make and accommodate this. There are routes that you want to take, and we want to get on our one-on-one call and talk about the things that vary for you and that are important to your family, because there are alternate routes. We hope to get all of this handled in a good time frame to be accommodating for all these people, but there are definitely some AM and PM drive time tips that could maybe be applicable for your personal situation. Right now, it's probably considered a con, more traffic, more problems on the road, but in every big environment, there always is that. And frankly, I've lived in Indianapolis, Sacramento, San Diego, Nashville more than once, and other smaller towns around. So I've lived in other cities and traffic's there. So calm down, okay? It's not just here in poor little Tennessee. And so I'm probably not the one to talk to on that one, because I've definitely lived in other places, and I'm going to calm it down. But that's real. It's legit. Do we have weather issues? We sure do. Sometimes we have tornadoes. Sometimes we have some flooding. We're water intensive. We do give announcements for that. We definitely don't want to put you right in a flood zone if we can help it, and we don't want to put you in some tornado path, but acts of God are things we can't control. And so I don't really consider it as much of a con as I do just something to evaluate in the area in which you live. Again, I've lived in California. They live with earthquakes. I think I would take personally a tornado any day over an earthquake. I don't want to fall into the core of the earth. So that's just my personal thing. They don't happen all the time. Warnings are given. We do try and protect you. Our homes are built well. I'm not interested in a big tsunami flood on me either. So, pros and cons, you just kind of have to make those what you determine they are for you. But, hitting on some of that, you may not, when it comes to weather, have allergies where you live currently, and then you move to Tennessee and that is significant. All of a sudden, you have some allergies you never thought you would have. That is something I have had a lot of people tell me through the years. Oh my gosh, I never had this sneezing issue until I moved to Tennessee. Well, we have beautiful flowers, we have great trees, we have pollens and things like that that may not have affected you all your life. I hate to tell you that you may have some of that, but I recommend, seeing your physician and getting some chlorocidin. That's usually gets you right through, and it still never ceases to amaze me today that I'll turn around and all of a sudden be like, oh my God, I'm having an allergy attack. And I don't really live in that world like my little brother who's allergic to life. He's allergic to everything. So that poor guy has had to live off chlorocidin all his life. I just have those occasional attacks. But yes, that can be a con. The pretty part and the pro about it is it's a beautiful area, and you don't get all that sometimes in other places. So, I'm sorry, I can't help you on that one. Finally, one of my favorite pros, and you can consider it what you want, but in Tennessee, we are the volunteer state from beginning to end, from all corners. Every part of this state is the Tennessee state, and it's of volunteers. That means we volunteered and been more patriotic. We have volunteered for every war. We have taken care of our own. We are people who care about others. So if you don't like that, don't move here. I gotta tell you that we're fine without you. If you don't like that patriotism, you don't like this country, you don't love your family and your home, then you might not have as much fun here, and you're probably not gonna be as welcome here. But a pro is, we really give you the benefit of the doubt, and we wanna get along with everybody, and we understand and respect that you may have a difference of opinion, but just trust me on this one. From Memphis to Knoxville to the Tri-Cities to Chattanooga, this state is full of volunteers and people who care about their home, their God, their country, and You may consider that a con, but I consider that a pro. And welcome to the great state of Tennessee. That is my little recap today on some pros and cons of the area. That's who we are. That's who I am. And I'd still love to get on a one-on-one call with you. Like and subscribe to the channel. Please leave your comments down below. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next week.